Yo, my name is DJ Darko, and I'm here right now at where are we right now?
Westmoreland Park.
Westmoreland Park in Portland, Oregon, and I am joined by a very special guest. He goes by the name of Smyth.
Hey.
All right. And the very first question, or like actually, let's just start at the beginning. What was the origin for Smyth? Was there one song that you heard, or was it like a collection of songs that you heard that got you into doing music, or like what was the start for you?
Definitely always been a huge music fan. Funny enough, I didn't come from a necessarily musical background. My parents, they played a lot of soul music. Like, they put me on to, like, Commodores, Earth, Wind, and Fire, stuff like that early. So, of course, that, is the kind of music that birthed hip-hop. And so, like, later on, that followed form. But then my cousin is a rapper, and he was really, I looked up to him a lot. He was 5 years older than me. He lived down the street from me, kind of older brother, role model figure in my life. And so I really looked up to him, and he really put me on. I think when I got my first iPod, I just went to his house, and this is back in the day where people just collected libraries of music, like LimeWire type of day, So he just had a fat library of predominantly, he's a huge head, so predominantly hip hop shit, and he just loaded my iPod, a little like 4 gig iPod with everything, a wide variety of hip hop. And I think that's when I really took the deep dive, like College Dropout, like Eminem definitely was big for me in that era, Jay-Z Black album, but even like, underground stuff, Little Brother, Master Ace, stuff like that too. So that stuff was early on what really got me into it. And then, years later, I was like, just kept, developing my taste and interests, and kept looking for it, and it kind of became like, why don't I try this? You know what I mean? So
Dope. And then just to segue off of that question, then, so your first few, albums, we can call them, they were primarily like beat tapes, right?
Yeah.
And so my question to you is, because the most recent album that you put out was SPORE.
Yeah.
And so, was it like planned that you only wanted to release beat tapes first to work on production, or were you also working on like your written and stuff while making those beats, or like what was the process of that?
Yeah, I kind of take it as it comes. I mean, I have the Compostables series that I started a year ago, so that's something that I hope to drop like 2 of those a year or so, just with different themes, little instrumental albums, just to keep the flow of music coming, just to not have any low periods. And writing just takes me more time, and like, because I produce the whole album, I'm
everything is you, right?
Sure, yeah. So I'm just it's a very involved, often cumbersome process just to like do that also, I think. And I'm also just the kind of the perfectionist type, if I'm more on that side. Where so it just it takes a lot longer to do the stuff with raps, for me at least. Yeah.
Cool. And just off that question too, like even with the 2 Compostables, can you honestly just give us like a backstory of how that even came about? Like, why Compostables? Wow. So there's one that's scrap food, and then one that's soul food?
Soul food.
Yeah. So what's
Scraps.
Yeah, jungle scraps, yeah, and soul food. Like what was the idea behind that? Like, why Compostables? And like, yeah.
I guess it's an idea that it sort of just intrinsically came to me, because it was like I needed just some way to put out. I realized I was just making just too many beats that were just sitting on my hard drive. I don't have a large enough network of like artists who I work with who will take all the beats or whatever. So I was just like, I love listening to instrumental hip hop. I might as well put out some albums myself, and somehow I just thought of the idea compostable, so it's like like .com postable, so it's like something I could post, but then also compostable, like it's like a good throwaway sort of type of idea, you know what I mean? Like and then every beat is named after something you could compost, right? So eventually I'm gonna do one volume that's not necessarily food. You know, it could be like paper towels and like things. Yeah, because there's like plenty of other items that can go in the compost too. So yeah, it's just something. It's just a continual series. It's nice to be able to keep on putting out tapes and have different thematic, like sonically different, sounds each time. Yeah, and keep each one kind of cohesive and different, because I like to make a lot of different stuff. You know, I do the soul beats, but then I try other stuff too.
Yeah. And with that being said, also like experimentation is good as well when it comes to like beat making and also just like rapping itself. You know, to stay like I guess relevant and to stay like like up to date. I guess like or like continually like inspired as well. So that's very important.
For sure, I don't like to get boxed in.
Exactly. And you spoke a bit about like the local scene here, but yeah. So what is the local hip hop scene in Portland for someone like me who isn't from Portland?
Sure.
And like, is it inclusive? Is it cliquish? What's the idea for like from your point of view? Like, what is the Portland hip hop scene like?
Sure. Well, the last 4 years I spent in Eugene. I was going to college at U of O. So, and that's really when I started taking myself as an artist seriously and really started doing it. So really, I've only been in Portland for the last year or so, and I played, a lot of shows and stuff. But I don't know, from what I can tell, there is an immense amount of talent here. There's very, very good people who make music here, who I've met and really happy to know, and who I've developed good relationships with. And I think, I don't know, we're really lucky to. It's also such an eclectic mix of types of sounds that people go for. You know what I mean? I think like in a place, in certain regionally in areas in like the South and like the East Coast, whatever, you can kind of. I don't know. You have an easier time like being like, okay, this makes sense that they're from like Brooklyn and they're making this kind of music. You know what I mean? Not that there isn't a wide variety of stuff there, but like often people kind of fall in line with the forefathers. Yeah, whatever, exactly. So here I think it's a super eclectic mix, and I don't think there's necessarily like a sound here. You know what I mean? So that's a cool aspect that I don't think people are like pigeonholed, right? But I think the scene's great. I think there's a lot of good venues, a lot of good events that are being thrown all the time, a lot of really inspiring creatives. So I don't have too much negative to say about it. I mean, people could perceive it as cliquey. That's just life. That's just how it is, right? But I don't know. I think for the most part, people are super supportive out here, and people will say that even outside of just artistry. People will say that about people in the Northwest in general, as I'm sure y'all kind of can relate to. People will just say people are just generally friendly and pretty open, and right. So I think the music falls in line with that. You know what I mean? It kind of inextricable. But.
What and who is a part of what is it? Breakfast Boys?
Yeah.
The Breakfast Boys League? Yeah. So if you don't mind speaking a bit about that as well.
Oh, yeah. For sure. So Breakfast Boys, it's kind of funny. It doesn't sort of have like a finite roster or even like a finite description to really what it is. It's kind of just a bunch of homies who mostly like met in the Eugene area who started collaborating and making music together. I'd say the four main MCs are me, my friend Brax, who really like founded it, and it's like really like his brainchild and sort of his baby. Speno and Este. We're kind of the four. Este's a Portland dude who's actually from New Mexico, and then Brax and Speno are Eugene dudes, and then I'm a born and raised Portland dude too. But we kind of just started making a lot of tunes together in the last couple years, and Brax had this Breakfast Boys thing he was running with, so we sort of like hopped on that, and we're sort of I don't know, like proliferating his vision with it, and it sort of became a greater thing where like we kind of have a band now, and there's a lot of other beat makers and instrumentalists who are kind of like under the umbrella of Breakfast Boys, but I wouldn't say it's like an official like collective or anything that with like 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 I said, just like an actualized roster. It's nothing really like that. But yeah, it's it's a lot of fun. It's really just like friends who make music together, honestly.
All right, and quickly then, just to wrap up that topic, what is your favorite breakfast items?
Favorite breakfast items, man. Chicken and waffles, definite go-to. Definite go-to these days, like especially lately. Love chicken and waffles. French toast, can't go wrong. Always good. I love breakfast burritos. I love breakfast sandwich. Everything, man. It's all so damn good. It's definitely my favorite meal. Like always has been. Yeah, for real. For real. Yeah.
Okay, dope. So question getting back to the music, is there something or one thing that you would want people to take from your music when they listen to your music, or even your beats as well?
Man, that's a tough one because like there's so many things that I hope people get out of it. I don't know, I hope it inspires people in whatever way, shape, or form that could take. Like it could be cool if I inspire something kind of as like pointed as another rapper to start rapping, or another beat maker to start making beats, and even if they start making like similar stuff to what I'm making, I think that would reflect well, right? But on the sort of to make that more of like a panorama, even if artists like visual artists, like when people text me like that, like, oh, I was like drawing to your album, things like that. Yeah, that kind of thing means a lot. I love to inspire creativity with it. That's hopefully, because I think all creativity can inspire further more creativity, and I just think that's right. Exactly. I just think that's beneficial for the world in general at large. So hopefully that, and or hopefully it makes puts a smile on someone's face, makes someone's day in like from minuscule to like bigger ways, and that's really it. Those are like less specific sort of things, but yeah, I hope it brings people joy or whatever. Yeah, makes them laugh. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, and then so the most recent piece of work that you put out, your most recent project, is SPORE. If you don't mind just taking us behind the creative process of that, and also, a question that I'll add to that as well is, what does it mean to you to put substance behind your lyrics? Because definitely throughout pretty much every song in there, there's lots of substance behind your lyrics. So it's like, if you don't mind taking us behind the creative process behind SPORE, and then also talking a bit about why you want to put substance and meaning behind your lyrics.
Sure, definitely. So SPORE, I got the idea like when I had just started rapping a long time ago, and I was working on a lot of other projects. I was finishing school, I was doing a lot of stuff, but sort of the initial seeds. I had the idea for that, to call that an album, because I lived in an attic in Eugene when I started making music. So I was like, I always try to think of titles with wordplay and things like that. So eventually, things started falling into place more, and I started trying to actualize it, and probably started this first like actual musical seeds were sort of planted like 2 years ago. I probably started making the first sketches of the first beats and like the rhymes. And then it was probably a year after that, I went on a tour with Brax, a short run up and down the West Coast, and then right when I got home from that, I moved back to Portland, and I was feeling honestly discouraged at the time, but then started hanging out with Este a lot and talking to him about it, and he was like, no, you got to do this, and he actually helped me record a lot of it, and was sort of like almost acted as like a vocal coach, like was giving me good encouragement and things like that to get good takes and stuff. So I think over the last calendar year, I really started making, just chipping away every single day, pretty much. Just writing the lyrics and then going back and editing the beats, and it was just a constant, like, listening every single day, back and forth, changing, just tweaking minute things. That's just kind of creative I am. Some people can just make it in like 1 week, one take, and just send it off, and it's great. And like I'm the opposite. And then as far as the lyrics goes, I appreciate you saying that. I don't know, man. I think I've always been really, like, one of the main things that attracted me to hip hop in the first place is the literary devices that are used in hip hop. So and even this stretches like beyond into the greater like idea of what art can be. I really like I like visual art that's super intricate and like abstract and kind of, you know, provokes like thought and makes you really like have to look at it for a few minutes, right? And just study, now I notice this, you know what I mean? So I think in the lyrics it's the same kind of thing that I'm going for, you know what I mean? I really I make an effort to be thorough. I try to see what my mind can come up with, and sort of, you know, just let the consciousness run, and it's hard sometimes, you know. I really like sometimes you gotta just leave a line, you know what I mean, and just let it be what it is in the first thought. But I often just go back and you try to make it better and all that, and there's still plenty of lines like I think I could have changed on the album, and, you know, I always have that kind of thing. But no, it's a very like meditative process for me, and it's important to for me, at least, in the MCs I look up to, the writers I look up to, who really like take the time to go for something, you know, try to like squeeze the juice out of the orange, you know, type of thing. So yeah, I gravitate towards that. I like listening to that stuff, so in turn I may go for that, you know, when I'm writing. Yeah.
Cool. And then the last, like, I guess, music related question that I'll ask is creation for you something that you just enjoy doing? Do you find it as therapeutic? Like, what is it about music and creation that you enjoy the most?
Oh, that's an awesome question. I definitely do find it therapeutic, and it's so important. Like, I've been working on promo for the album, right, the last couple weeks, and working full time and working really hard, and I haven't been, you know, making as many beats or writing as many verses. I've been sneaking them in like on breaks at work and stuff, you know, sneaking in lines and stuff. But I haven't been doing it as much. So and it like I can feel it now. You know what I mean? I feel like I've sank my feet deep enough into this where it's something. It feels like, you know, I if I don't like touch my beats at all in a day, it feels like I didn't brush my teeth. You know what I mean? It's like I'm deep enough in it where it's you know, for lack of a better term, it's kind of becoming like a spiritual practice type of thing, you know. And whatever creativity that is, I'll also, you know, I like to draw here and there and stuff, and just exercise, you know, the machinations of the mind, and try and get the gears turning at, you know, whenever I can, really. So yeah, definitely. I love doing it, especially making music. You know, primarily I just love making beats and the craft and writing rhymes and all that. So it's important, yeah.
We'll get into some non-related music questions, just some fun stuff, and a little bit of the philosophical stuff I was speaking to you about that earlier. So first, let's do some stuff that is not musically related at all. So, you know Oscar Mayer Wiener?
Sure, yeah.
So did you hear that they came out with ice cream?
No.
So
I didn't.
so they have candied hot dog bits, hot dog sweet cream, spicy Dijon gelato, and the cookie bun. So like they made, you know, like ice cream sandwiches. So like the sandwich part tastes like a hot dog bun. Okay. So with that being said, With that being said, yeah.
All right.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to give you a list of weird flavors of ice cream.
Okay.
And you have to pick one that you would try.
I'd try. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So we have. So the Oscar Mayer Wiener one is one.
Okay.
We have horse flesh. It's in Tokyo. It's real. These are all
Real.
real. These are
Real.
all real.
Okay.
It's in
These
Tokyo.
exist.
These exist. I did not make these up for this interview. These exist. Okay, horse flesh, pickled mango, corn on the cob, pear and blue cheese, ghost pepper, bourbon and cornflakes, fig and brown turkey, and lobster.
Oh, God. Okay. I've heard of the pear and blue cheese thing, and I think I'd give it a shot. I feel like it might, that's kind of the cop out answer. I feel like in that group, or maybe the pickled mango.
Yeah, because you know what both of them taste like. Pickles.
Sure.
I guess yeah.
Sure. So those are maybe like the actual foods. It's just a weird combo of foods, maybe. But yeah, those I think corn. You know what? I'd try it.
Yeah.
I'd try it. I don't know. I don't know if I'd order a cone of it, right? But I'd get the. Yeah. I think I would. I'm not like the most adventurous eater, but I'll try most things and put in front of me. What about you? I'm curious.
I picked so earlier when I asked this question to my co-host, I picked pickled mango just because of the fact that I know what pickled things taste like, and I love mangoes. So maybe together they might be good, but still.
It might.
But also if you balanced it right, and also corn on the cob might be a safe answer too, because it's like it's just corn on the cob. Exactly.
Yeah,
so corn on the cob.
Right.
My co-host picked lobster, and I was like, that's probably the most disgusting thing. Like creamy seafood. Like no, I was like,
Miss
I was
me
like,
on that.
yeah, I was straight up.
Cool.
I was like, no, dude.
Cool. Yeah.
I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some philosophical questions. So,
Great.
there's a question. It goes like this. So, what benefits does art provide society, and does art hurt society in any way?
Oh man. Art. I mean, so many benefits for society. I mean, on a person-to-person basis, it can really, I don't know, it can like make or break someone's livelihood. For myself, just personal experience, I fell in love with the craft of music at a very like tender moment in my life. So I really like needed this in a very, the classic cliche like music saved my life, whatever. It like sort of applies to me, to be honest. And there's plenty of friends I have and other creatives I know who could attest to that. So person-to-person base, definitely. I definitely think it can galvanize a lot of positive change in the world and really motivate the masses to do I don't know, brilliant things. So I think it's definitely, I don't know, in my mind, I feel just like the more art the better, the more innovation the better. I just think it inspires and it's everywhere at all times. So yeah, definitely. I don't see too much negative about it, right? Yeah, personally at least. Yeah.
The next question is, what would be better, a broad knowledge base or a deep knowledge base?
Ooh. See, this is a really good one. I was talking about this recently. I was saying, like, I have a pretty niche knowledge base, and I was saying, like, I'm useless in trivia. My mom wants me to come play trivia with her. I'm like, yo, like, I get, like, one question out of the whole night, Whereas my sister, she has a nice, like, broad knowledge base and can, like, sort of, call on things in her schema that will, like, aid her to be like, okay, I'll be in, like, the ballpark with this. I sort of, whereas I'm just, like, I know about like sports and underground hip hop. Like I'm fucking useless otherwise. Yeah. So I don't know. To each their own. I'm content with like having just deep dove on those things and whatever. But I definitely I think there's so much value in having a broad knowledge base, and to be someone who's like the jack of all trades, like that's great, and you're way more conversational that way, and what I mean? Like, yeah, right. I'm just isolated, like I can only relate to people who like just, yeah, no, definitely good to read more from a wide variety of things, and keep yourself open to ever-flowing knowledge. Yeah, but something to be said about the deep dive too. I recommend it in a lot of ways too. Yeah, if you're both important. Yeah. So is that a cop out? Like I don't know. Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Okay. Yeah.
More of like a thought.
Sure. Sure. No.
And then just to go off that question, which one would you say is more useful, intellect or wisdom?
This is good. This is good. Intellect is like, I don't know. Like, how would you discern those two?
Like intellect is like being able to understand something objectively.
Okay.
And I'd say like wisdom is like understanding something through experience.
Gotcha.
That's how I would like.
Gotcha. I mean, I don't know. Wisdom's a little like harder to come by. Maybe hard to say. I think wisdom might be a more rare quality in people. I definitely admire both in people when people kind of reveal those things in the differing actions, and I think both can bring you plenty of positive benefits by acknowledging both. I don't know. It's something. The like mystique of having wisdom, I think, is great, and I think it's dope that it can come from direct experience. I think is extremely powerful, and that it can come in such a variety of packages. You know what I mean? Like people's different walks of life and direct experiences can bring them that, and then they're able to teach through that. I think that, I don't know, something about the mystique of that is captivating to me. So it's wisdom's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Wisdom?
I go wisdom. Yeah.
Both are good. Both are good. All right. That pretty much wraps up this interview. I appreciate your time, Smyth. And also, where can people get at you if they want to get at you online?
Yeah, definitely. As he had mentioned, I dropped an album recently called SPORE Addict, so that's my most up-to-date work. Check that out. Listen to the tunes, like more so than like following me anywhere. I just like hope people are listening for sure. But I'm at Smyth Spinach on Instagram and Twitter. That's Spinach, SPINITCH, spin, like a 360 itch, like a scratch. If you look up, Smyth music, Smyth SPORE Addict, whatever, you can find me. I'm on all the social media. I'm on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. So it's out there. Find it. Thank you.
Appreciate your time.